It had been 28 days since Illinois had won a game. I believe it was 35 days since Illinois had won a game at home at Case Memorial Stadium. But before that, I do think it was 56 days before Illinois had held an opponent, a Power 4 opponent, to 20 points or less. That was against Duke. But welcome back to the Illini Audible podcast. My name is Saeed Bravo. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the pod. As always, I really appreciate it. And we're back talking about this Illinois win. We're talking about what just transpired here at Geese Memorial Stadium. This is coming in a day late, but still wanted to get something out, at least a little bit short, but I still wanted to get this out. Obviously, the biggest thing inside of this game is that as a result of this game is that Illinois, for the third season, for the third time in 4 years, has made a bowl game. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a big deal. I know that, and I'll dive into my whole take on my part of what the criticism has been of this program. But credit where credit is due. It This program has turned into one of those teams, one of those football teams that is consistently competing for bowl games, and that is an accomplishment in and of itself. Because we zoom out and we take a look of what this program has been over the course of the last 20 years, 15 years, maybe 10 years, and you felt like Illinois was just a middling program in the Big Ten. It was not a good football team, and there was a lot of things missing inside of this program. And now suddenly, this is in a team because in large part thanks to Brett Bielema and his staff, is a team that's competing for bowl games year in and year out. And you feel really encouraged about that because, like I said, zoom out. This hasn't historically been the case. And you have to give the program credit where credit is due because it's something that has been missing. All right, let's get to the other side of that, though. Yes, I know that the college football playoff has kind of augmented the pressure on programs. It's kind of the expansion, having 12 playoff teams in one season, it has shifted the way programs think about themselves because now you adhere to a higher standard, which is making the college football playoff. And that's why for a lot of teams, you've seen teams make really rash decisions. You've seen a lot of programs make really intense decisions to let go of coaches, to make moves to get to that point because that is achievable standard. It used to be when you had four teams. I mean, it's really hard to get to that point. So that was a little bit unrealistic. But since the expansion has kind of augmented the amount of pressure, how does this relate to Illinois? Well, I know that fans and a little bit of media and all that stuff, I think a lot of media, though, um, they felt like Illinois could be one of those teams that could sneak in to that college football playoff before the season started. And I, for the large part, agreed. I thought this team could take a next step. I know this team is probably not at that point, but my point in all of this is that Brett Bielema continues to push the standard. Whenever we ask him about whether or not he's thought about that or how much it means to make three bowl games in 4 years, he doesn't give an answer like oh, look how far we've come. It's none of that. Most of it is I didn't even think about it. Like I'm just focused on winning the game, which is great. But it's also you asked him. I think you saw this a lot last season because of the magnitude of the kind of season they were having, especially because they hadn't lost their all three games until really the last couple games of the season. And there was possibility for Illinois. It's just that the name brand wasn't there at that point. Um, so my point in this saying is that Brett Bielema, for a lot of the last 2 years, has been advocating for his own program, which he should be. But it's to the point where it's like this. He says this should be the standard. You shouldn't even have to think about. Pretty much, you shouldn't have to think about whether or not this program will make a bowl game. He wants to continue to push that standard, and that is in large part why I have scrutinized this team for the losses that they have had. Uh, Indiana, Ohio State, which I think Ohio State was probably the most reasonable loss. But the Washington game, those two, the Washington game and the Indiana game, I know they were both road games, but good teams play on the road, play well on the road, and they did not do that against those two programs. And you felt not encouraged about what you saw inside of those games. Well, that being said, though, let's zoom out way more. There's no doubt this is a good thing for this Illinois program. Brett Bielema has changed the way that people perceive Illinois, and that for that alone, there needs to be credit, there needs to be kudos given to this program. It's crazy how much a program can change thanks to a athletic director that knows what he's doing. Headline in this game, though, the defense played incredible inside of this game. You felt really encouraged about what you saw, uh, especially after what they had done at Washington and just the fiasco that really was that game. And on defense, um, obviously Aaron Henry was under fire throughout the course of the week. And give this team credit because they responded against a Rutgers team, a Rutgers offense that, in their own right, I know they haven't won that many games. No, they're not the best team in the conference. No, they're not a powerhouse. They're not a crazy big team. Give them credit. They're a pretty good offense inside of the Big Ten. I mean, KJ Duff leads the Big Ten in yards as a receiver. Ian Strong is one of those guys he's top 8 as well, and he's really you felt like that those two guys, you just saw them and the way that they played and what they are physically could easily be NFL caliber wide receivers. And I know Ethan Kaliakmanis is not the stellar quarterback, and he's prone to mistakes. He's still leading the Big Ten in yards and passing yards. Like this was no walk in the park. This was something that you have to give Illinois credit. I know that Nathan Kaliakmanis is prone to mistakes, and this team in general is prone to mistakes. You felt like this team responded in the best way that they could. Obviously, I led the podcast saying 20. They hadn't allowed less than 20 points in what was like 56 days. I mean, this was no question about it, a strong response. Matthew Bailey, total tackles, 3 solo. James Kreutz had himself a good day with Olin Kreutz in the crowd, riling up the crowd with the cannon. Gabe Akis had an incredible day. 4 total tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and more importantly, the 2 sacks. The biggest number inside of this game, 9 total pass breakups, which you didn't see all that many of those throughout the course of the past couple conference games, I think they hadn't done that. I think that's definitely their most in one game. I think that might be the most in combined in all their conference games. So that is encouraging to see from this team. And you felt really good about the defense. One of the nuggets that Brett Bielema told us about throughout the course of post game was the idea of not of uplifting and empowering. Obviously, that's a big theme inside of coaching. You want to empower your players. That is what successful coaches look like. That is what successful coaches do. One key part about that too, though, is you also want to empower your coaches. That can create dynamic shifts and maybe cracks if you don't do that. And he didn't. Brett Bielema said he didn't. Yes, after saying he might get involved last week after what happened, he said he didn't really get all that too involved with Aaron Henry, and you saw exactly what happened. And in terms of the players, said there was never waver. They never wavered, and there was always trust. There's never a doubt with him. So continued to see, I guess, the growth in Aaron Henry as a defensive coordinator, whatever he is. I mean, say what you want about Aaron Henry, how he's performance. I know it's a results based business. He's a good guy, and you really root for. It's a guy that you kind of root for. I mean, you hope that it continues because you hope that this is something that is sustainable. The key thing is though the performances against big time teams, and that's where the red flags are. Uh, Berbulema on Friday for their usual tape night. They watched the USC game, the first two defensive plays of the USC game, and you might ask yourself why. Belema really wanted to instill confidence in those guys, having them understand that they can beat a really good team, that they can uh, do exactly what they needed to do, rile up the crowd, play excellent football. And I think you saw that translate, whether or not it was subconscious or not or conscious. You felt that that was good, and this team, overall, this defense continues to kind of have uh, kind of a mixed bag. You hope that they can turn around this season, but schedule, just the realities of the schedule might loom. So that's all I have to say on the defense. But overall, you felt really good about the direction of this defense on this particular day. Offensively, the takeaway, the biggest thing, I mean, to me, the connection between Hudson Clement and Luke Altmaier was there, no doubt, in this particular day. You saw them, it felt like they were close throughout the course of the past couple weeks. You felt like they could connect, and it just wasn't fully there. And today, and I said it in the last podcast, I think that was one of the things you should watch inside of this game. And this ended up being true. Illinois, Luke Altmaier connected with Hudson Clement several times. I think it was 5 receptions, 84 yards, a touchdown, a long of 23. That was a particular play inside of this one of those drives that he ended up it was a free play. Rusher they had a false start. He was being pursued, eventually interfered with, and then Hudson Clement made an incredible grab. There were like maybe two or three of those that he had inside of this game. And that's when you said, okay, this is the flash. These are the flashes that you hoped whenever Hudson Clement decided to transfer to Illinois. That's those exactly the kind of things that you hoped to see from this particular guy and the connection between him and Luke Altmaier. And it was really good. You felt really encouraged from what you saw with those two. And I mean, it's been a while. I mean, I think the biggest thing with him is that he is a different body type than Hank Beatty. I know that Luke Altmaier said he's kind of similar to Beatty, but I mean it's different. He presents a different threat. It's why they wanted a Hudson Clement. It's why they wanted a Justin Bowick. Is that the physical body on those two guys? There's not a lot that can be said about that. Obviously, Justin Bowick is a guy that continues to see a little bit of production, not as much as he had earlier in the season against non-conference opponents, but you still feel encouraged about those two guys. And I think Justin Bowick is going to be a guy that if you keep him on the roster, maybe next season we'll see much more production. They're probably still just looking for consistency on that end, but you hope that this continues. And I think on the topic of Luke Altmaier, 19 for 31, 235 yards, 4 touchdowns, interception. He had a 88 rushing yards and 1 touchdown rushing as well. So 5 total touchdowns for Luke Altmaier. Continues to be a quarterback that is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and will. I know that to me his legacy is like listen. I don't think this is a guy who will take you uh, it's not a guy who will take you to the college football playoff, win you crazy number of accolades. I don't know, but this is no doubt one of the best quarterbacks that Illinois has seen in the last. I don't know since Nathan Chiehouse, since Kurt Kittner. So there is definitely appreciation that you should have for Luke Altmaier, because I mean once this year is over, it's just things are going to be different, and you really hope that Illinois can replace that. It's going to be hard, right? Like it's going to be hard to replace that. But Luke Altmaier, he'll be fine. He's a one of the good quarterbacks inside of a history that misses a lot of quarterbacks for Illinois. I don't particularly think he is in above elites, a superstar quarterback, but he's an elite quarterback. He's pretty good. So you hope that that continues as the season continues to unfold, and he'll likely ready for an NFL career. And Barry Lunny had an excellent day play calling. Some of them inside the red zone, really, really, really great calls. I mean, Barry Lunny, sometimes he does get in his bag uh, with the calls that he does in the red zone, and you saw that fake snap, or sorry, excuse me, the snap to Caden Fagan that made handoff to Luke Altmaier, fake a pump fake, and then he took it in himself. And that's the kind of stuff that you feel really encouraged by. And I think Barry Lunny is going to be one of those names that people start hearing about head coaching murmurs. So you wonder what that is, especially with how much changes are going on inside of college football. So that is something that Illinois will have to worry about later. Because right now, uh, enjoying a 6-3 season right now. Another thing I wanted to touch on is Hank Beatty, man, or excuse me, with Luke Altmaier. I mean, the usage of the legs, man, has been there. I mean, you saw that early inside of this game. Uh, he's been really effective with his legs, and it's been much more decisive. I know that it's he tends to be he does one read. If he doesn't see it, he just runs. When he does run, but I think you still feel good about the way that he has used his legs. I still think he needs to get down earlier. There's been times where he gets just hit or pulled because he's not down, and that's the kind of thing that you worry about. But obviously, for now, Illinois, Luke Altmaier, really effective using his legs. Also, Hank Beatty. Hank Beatty has been a piece of this offense that has been key. You don't hear his name all that much nationally, even though he's the third wide receiver, leads the receivers in the Big Ten, third leading receiver in the Big Ten with yards, 730. I mean, one of the better wide receivers in the Big Ten, doesn't get talked about all that much, but you felt really encouraged by what you saw as well. 4 receptions, 40 yards, a touchdown as well. Four different guys caught a touchdown inside of this game. Colin Dixon, Hayden Fagan, Hank Beatty, Hudson Clement. And you feel really good about that kind of offensive production. But obviously, Hank Beatty, a guy that probably deserves more attention, even though he hasn't gotten any really much nationally. You feel good. So that is the short version of this pod. Obviously, next week, Illinois will take on will take on a bye week, but then they'll stay in Keys Memorial Stadium. So for the rest of the season, it'll be pretty local. Madison the week after that. But overall, I mean, you feel really good about where this team is at, 6-3. You just hope that they don't go through that lull that they did last season. Excuse me, when they lost against Minnesota. There was a lot of one-score games inside of that season. This year has been somewhat different, except for the USC game, and you hope that this team can continue to win consistently. Been much more gaps between the scores, but yeah, overall, you hope that this team can continue the momentum of this win. Can you imagine what it would have been like if Illinois had lost this game? Can't understate the importance of winning a game like this, especially in the way that they did in dominant fashion. Because can you imagine losing a game? Obviously, going into the bye week, losing a game, losing your next game, and then heading into a bye week would have been dreadful. So, really encouraged by this particular game, and you hope that it continues. Maryland is one of those teams that could be sneaky good, and you hope that they can put them away easily. And then obviously the rest of the schedule as well. We'll address that when the time comes. But appreciate you guys taking a listen to this episode of the pod. Really, really appreciate it. For the bye week, I think I will have a special edition of the pod. Might be talking about different topics, different sports, and have a different iteration of talking college football. It might be with a special guest. So stay tuned. Subscribe, rate, review if you so please. I would really, really appreciate it. and peace.